Thank you, Mr Speaker. The safeguard mechanism represents one of the world's most punitive carbon taxes and will only see prices soar even further for struggling families. This is a hard cap on economic growth, a hard cap on new industries and a hard cap on jobs. It is deindustrialisation and not decarbonisation, which experts have warned the government about. This will do irreparable damage to the energy market and penalise consumers. This does nothing to eliminate global emissions. All the government has succeeded in doing is putting a hard cap on future economic growth, because if industries cannot develop in Australia, they will look to move overseas. As the carbon tax begins to take its toll, impacted businesses will be forced to pass on their cost to consumers, and this will add fuel to the flames of Labor's cost of living crisis. This will see the cost of everything from fuel to food skyrocket when families can least afford it. Of the 215 largest industrial facilities affected by the safeguard mechanism, 28 are operating in the electorate of Capricornia and 18 in the electorate of Flynn. So approximately 30% of all targeted industries are in central Queensland. This includes the Yarwun refinery at Queensland Alumina Limited at Gladstone. In 2021, Rio Tinto-owned Yarwun refinery in Gladstone reported that they employ 700 people, with the majority of whom are living in the local region. About 500 contractors are employed for annual shutdowns and other activities. Yarwun refinery annual production exceeds 3 million tonnes of alumina. Queensland Alumina Limited in 2020 paid $983 million in contributions to the economy, including salaries, partnerships, in-kind support, taxes and a total national supplier spend. QAL sends alumina to locations such as Tasmania, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, China, New Zealand and Russia, as well as Queensland manufacturing businesses. However, it was recently announced that Rio Tinto has slashed $1.2 billion US from the value of its Australian alumina assets on the back of federal government safeguard mechanism, writing off the value of the Yarwun alumina refinery completely due to the need to buy carbon offsets for this asset. Rio has also slashed $227 million from the value's share of Queensland Alumina Limited. Since Labor's safeguard mechanism was announced, I've called it an attack on heavy industry and the thousands of workers that work in the sector, and it is proven to be exactly that. While Labor claims to be a friend of the working man and woman, they are happy to shut down these industries that employ them, and you just simply cannot trust them with your job. What does the Labor government's 43% emissions target mean for central Queensland? What does their safeguard mechanism mean for us in central Queensland? And how is this going to affect us? How is this going to affect the manufacturing industries in Gladstone? And what will it mean for all the people that work there and have jobs there? Anyone in business knows that the value write-off of a business asset is the first step to the possible closure of that business. Mr Speaker, the safeguard mechanism is not the first desperate, dodgy deal that has been done with the Greens to pass legislation. One of the many deals was the National Reconstruction Fund bill, of which is going to hurt the Australian manufacturing industry. Every manufacturer I speak to is already struggling with power prices and the dodgy deals done with the Greens to which they are beholden to. Labor supported the Greens' amendments, which means the $15 billion National Reconstruction Fund bill will not fund any coal, gas, pipeline infrastructure or logging of native forests. The same hard-working men and women from the industries that Labor has taken for granted for far too long. The Australian manufacturers rely on cheap energy to make things onshore. But this demonetisation of gas and broken promises to bring down power prices and the implementation of the safeguard mechanism will force more Australian manufacturing industries offshore. This means less jobs for Australians and less jobs for my local community, and we are seeing exactly that. Every time the Labor government comes to power, they make crazy deals with the Greens in the interest, that are not in the interests of families and businesses of average Australians. It is quite simple, Mr Speaker. If we have no industries in Gladstone, we will have no jobs there.